Today, we're taking a look at what could be the classroom of the future. It's a brand new blueprint for education, and it's designed for a world that's changing faster than any of us could have imagined. Okay, let's get into it. So, everything really kicks off with this one fundamental question. For so long, education has basically been about, transferring knowledge. But what if the real goal wasn't just to fill students' heads with facts, but to actually give them the tools to think for themselves? Because let's be real, the world we live in now, with AI, with instant global connections, with constant change, it requires a totally different skill set. There's this huge gap opening up between what schools have traditionally taught and what students actually need to succeed out there. And to try and bridge that gap, a new framework has started to take shape. It's all built around 6 core skills, or competencies. Researchers have a name for them, the 6 C's, and they are the absolute bedrock of this new way of thinking about education. So, what are these 6 C's? Let's break them down and really meet the essential skills for navigating the modern world. First up, it all begins with character. Think of this as the personal toolkit, right? It's about building resilience so you can bounce back from failure, having the integrity to do the right thing, and the self-awareness to know your own strengths and weaknesses. Honestly, it's the foundation for everything else. Once you have that strong inner compass, you can start looking outward to citizenship. In our super connected world, just thinking about your own backyard isn't going to cut it. This C is all about having a global mindset, understanding different cultures, and really taking ownership of our role in a global society. And of course, being a good global citizen means you have to know how to work with others. That brings us to collaboration. The biggest problems we face aren't going to be solved by one person alone. They're going to be solved by teams. This is that critical skill of working together, of mashing up different perspectives to create something way better than any one person could do on their own. You can't collaborate if you can't communicate, right? So communication is next, and this is so much more than just talking. It's about getting complex ideas across clearly, being persuasive and making an impact, whether that's in an email, a presentation, or even making a video. The 5th C is creativity. See, when you can communicate and collaborate really well, you open up the space for totally new ideas to pop up. In a world where computers can do all the routine stuff, our ability to imagine, to innovate, to come up with brand new solutions, that's our human superpower. And finally, we have the one skill that really turbocharges all the others, critical thinking. This is the ability to look at information, pick apart arguments, spot biases, and then form a solid, well-reasoned judgment. You can think of it as the essential operating system for your brain in the 21st century. Okay, so that brings us to the million-dollar question. How in the world do you actually teach all this stuff? It's not like you can just add a creativity class. A new research paper lays out this really cool integrated model, a whole ecosystem for what it calls deep learning. And the main idea here is really powerful. It's not about finding one single magic bullet teaching method. It's about weaving together all these different approaches, digital tools, and some powerful tech so that they all support and amplify each other. All right, so let's pop the hood on this thing. What are the key building blocks of this ecosystem? What's actually in the toolkit? Okay, first up, we've got something called concept-based inquiry, or CBI. The idea here is instead of just memorizing a bunch of dates and formulas, students dig into big, juicy questions. This helps them build a kind of understanding that they can actually use in new situations, not just spit back out on a test. Then you have the Building Thinking Classrooms framework. This totally rethinks the classroom itself. It's all about getting students up on their feet, working in random groups at whiteboards, and really getting their hands dirty solving problems together. It literally makes their thinking visible and collaborative. The model also plugs in something called WebQuests. This is basically a structured online scavenger hunt for knowledge. Students use the internet to research a real-world problem, but, and this is key, it's not just random Googling. It's a guided journey that teaches them how to find, evaluate, and synthesize information to create something totally new. And finally, there's the high-tech piece of the puzzle, educational data mining. By looking at the data from how students are using these learning tools, teachers can get instant insights. They can see learning patterns, pinpoint exactly where a student is getting stuck, and then actually personalize the whole experience for that person. So you have all these different pieces. How do they actually fit together? This is where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the model in action. So picture this. It starts with students in one of those thinking classrooms. They use a mind mapping tool to just brainstorm and map out their ideas around a big concept. Then, using insights from that data mining we talked about, they actually designed their own web quest to investigate a real-world problem. After that comes a really powerful step. They have to teach what they learned by creating a short video. And finally, and this is so cool, their finished work, the web quest and the video, gets published as an open educational resource for anyone in the world to use. They're not just learning, they're contributing. And get this isn't just a theory on a piece of paper. The research points out that as of June 2025, more than 1,300 of these public WebQuest maps have already been created and shared using this exact system. It's really happening. But for this whole ecosystem to actually work, you need more than just cool tech and new methods. Everything hinges on the human element. It requires a whole new kind of teacher. The teacher's role just completely transforms. They're no longer the sage on the stage who just lectures. Now they're an activator who sparks curiosity. They're a connector who helps students see why this stuff matters in the real world. They're a facilitator who gives constant feedback. A motivator who helps students push through tough problems. And finally, a guide whose ultimate goal is to help students learn how to learn on their own. You know, this whole model is a pretty profound shift. It's a move away from passively consuming information and toward actively creating knowledge. So we'll just leave you with this question to think about, especially for any educators watching. Is this a future you're ready to build?